Ranking every NHL team based on the amount of success that they've had since I've been alive. This is part 5. And kicking off part 5 at the 9th spot, it's the Washington Capitals. The Capitals are tied for the most playoff appearances since I've been alive with 17, and they've only won one Stanley Cup during that stretch, but what a run that was in 2018 for Alex Ovechkin and the Capitals as they exercised their demons against the Penguins in the second round that year, went on to the finals, and beat Vegas for their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. The Capitals do get some extra points as well as they've won 3 President's Trophies. At the 8th spot, it's the Anaheim Ducks. I believe this past year was the 7th straight season that the Anaheim Ducks have missed the playoffs. And I'm sorry, Ducks fans, but I can't feel bad for you yet. The team enjoyed quite a bit of success prior to this recent run of missing the playoffs. They made it to the Stanley Cup final in 2003, lost that year to the Devils, but they got back to the final in 2007 and captured their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. The team then went on a number of deep playoff runs after that and came short of winning the Stanley Cup again, but at least they can say that they have won. At the 7th spot, it's the Detroit Red Wings. Speaking of teams that have missed the playoffs a lot recently that I don't feel bad for, sorry Red Wings fans, but your team enjoyed a ton of success prior to this recent run of missing the playoffs. The Red Wings were in the playoffs for 25 years in a row. They were the standard in the NHL, and that's absolutely insane to think about, that the Red Wings made the playoffs 25 years straight, that they didn't go through a rebuild, or they didn't have a year where it was just an off year and they missed the playoffs. The only Red Wings Stanley Cup that I've been alive for so far was in 2008. Now, the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup the year I was born, but they won it in June of 2002. I was born in December of 2002. At the 6th spot, it's the Boston Bruins. Based on the point system, the Boston Bruins are the most successful NHL team with one Stanley Cup since I've been alive. They won that Stanley Cup in 2011 against the Vancouver Canucks in a 7-game series. They made it back to the final in 2013, but lost that year to the Chicago Blackhawks in 6. And then they made it to the final once again in 2019 against the St. Louis Blues, but lost that year in 7 games. The Bruins were so damn good for so long that it's kind of weird now to see them going through a bit of a rebuild or retool, I guess. I did like their pick in this past year's draft, getting James Haggins, so maybe before you know it, the Bruins will be a top team in hockey once again. Like and follow for part 6, where I'm going to be listing the top 5.